Working in remote places can be dangerous. There's often limited access to the area, and communications may be difficult. When you combine a remote work site with high voltage electricity, the danger can increase rapidly. Under these conditions, it's critical you and your co-workers know basic rescue techniques, first aid, and CPR. For rescues from trees, it's also important to know how to tie one special knot, the taut line hitch. The taut line hitch is used to tie off your fall line when climbing. It allows you to stay in one place on the fall line or to slide on the fall line by pulling the hitch. The taut line hitch is simple to tie. It's very similar to a clove hitch. Let's watch a climber tie this hitch. Notice that the hitch is tied with the loose end of the rope left over from tying on the snap. There's also a figure-8 knot tied in this end of the rope. Its importance will be discussed later. Now let's look step by step at how to tie the taut line hitch using this diagram. First, with the loose end, take 2 full wraps around the taut rope. Second, bring the loose end back over the first 2 wraps and take 1 more wrap in the same direction. This time, tuck the loose end under the wrap. The important part here is that all of the wraps must be in the same direction. Some people double this final step, so there are 2 wraps on each side of the hitch. You can try both ways to see which works best for you. It's also important to know the figure-8 knot and the half hitch. Since these are common knots, they will not be covered here. If you have questions about any of these knots, check with your crew chief. During these demonstrations, it's crucial to remember that in any rescue, conditions can vary dramatically. This is especially true in rescues from trees. Snags, limbs, power lines, other trees, all will affect your rescue attempt. This tape will focus on several basic methods used to lower a victim to the ground. In addition to these methods, the rescuer needs to keep in mind the basics of first aid, especially CPR, as well as remember the old adage, don't become a second victim. This first rescue demonstrates how the rescuer, using tree climbing hooks, can lower the victim when the victim has been climbing using a safety rope secured with a taut line hitch. This rescue assumes that the victim cannot be reached by a ladder, and the rescuer has no choice but to climb to the victim. As the rescuer, you should attempt to reach the victim as quickly as possible, but not at the expense of your own safety. When you reach the victim, first secure yourself. Bring your rope around the tree over a limb. Snap or tie onto your safety belt and use the tail of the rope to secure yourself with a taut line hitch. If the victim is tied a taut line hitch, you can now quickly lower yourself and the victim to the ground, simply by pulling and sliding both hitches. Once on the ground, start or continue first aid.
You guys ready on the ground for him?
Let's look at the function of the taut line hitch again. As you can see, properly tied, this knot could save your life in an emergency. It makes any rescue effort simple and quick. There's another rescue method to use when victims are secured with a taut line hitch and you have assistance from the ground. When you reach the victim and secure yourself, the ground person takes control of the victim's rope.
Hey, Glenn, you got
You can
the line?
then cut the taut line hitch free by cutting the tail of the rope between the hitch and the figure-8 knot.
Coming down.
This immediately frees the victim to be lowered by the ground person.
Hey,
Let's
Glenn,
look
you
at
got
this
the
rescue
line?
again.
Got it.
Pay particular attention to where the cut is made. As you can see, a knife
Coming
is an
down.
important safety item. All trucks are supplied with skinning knives. However, it's a good idea to include a pocket knife as part of your personal effects. A small knife will cut most any rope under tension. Be sure to carry it in a place where you can reach it while you're climbing. Let's look at the cut one final time. This is where the importance of the figure-8 knot comes in. If you tie a figure-8 knot in the loose end of your line just after the snap hook, it will serve as a marker for a rescuer. It then becomes very easy to cut the line between the figure-8 and the taut line. This method should eliminate any possible confusion about where the cut should be made. This final scene demonstrates rescuing a victim who's been working from a ladder. You'll see the importance of always having a rope to the ground located over your work area. A hand line is much more than a way to lift and lower things you need. It's your lifeline in case of an emergency. Make sure your hand line stays in good condition and always hang it on a limb that can support your full weight. Although this demonstration specifically uses a ladder, you'll probably notice some procedures which can also be used from hooks or free climbing. With the hand line in place, the rescue is extremely simple. On reaching the victim, secure yourself. Clear the hand line of anything that could block lowering the victim. Snap on the hand line to the victim's belt, hooking the snaps in opposite directions. Free the victim and lower the victim to the ground. Let's review the procedure, this time with a hand line without snaps. When fastening the victim, simple half hitches will work fine. However, you should notice that tying the victim takes longer than using the snaps, and time is your enemy in a rescue. Just a few seconds can make a difference in the chances of the victim's survival. This demonstration has shown a few specific examples of rescues. You've probably already thought of ways to combine the techniques shown here to make rescues under other conditions. It's important for you to continue to use your ingenuity and planning to be ready if an emergency arises, because you never know. One day, your life may depend on something as simple as a coworker having a pocket knife.